Okay, and then I'll share the screen now.
Okay, sir.
Okay, let's start. All right. So hopefully others will join in due time, but if they don't, then I hope that they will be satisfied with the recording of it. And okay. Anyways, today we were supposed to talk
Okay.
today we are supposed to talk about NumPy. Okay, NumPy is something which can be a little bit tricky thing to understand, but I hope you will bear with me. But anyways, till the last class we talked about Python, how it works, how we can use it, and what are the basic syntaxes and what are the rules and regulations that we need to follow in order to get our job done, in order to get our codes executed and get some good results, right? So up to that point it was just Python. All right, now we'll start dabbling in AI as well, because from this class onwards, whatever we are going to learn will have some impact in some of the so not exactly some, most of the projects that we do one way or another. We are going to have some impact from this class onwards. All right, so first we are going to learn about NumPy, which is short for numerical Python. Then we are going to talk about pandas. Then we are going to talk about some data visualization. Then we are that is libraries like Matplotlib, or if possible Seaborn. And then sorry, and then we are going to talk about scikit-learn, which is inbuilt a machine learning library using which you can do lots of things. And we, if time allows us, then we'll try to do one or two projects using all these things. Okay, but one thing that you should understand is, from now on we are going to talk about how we can take the data, how we can use the data, how we can manipulate the data, and everything that is related to data. And in this case, preferably numerical data, the data that involves the digits 0 to 9. Okay, or the data that involves the digits 0 to 9, we're going to take them into our account and we are going to manipulate them. We are going to use them to get some results, to understand some important things, and we are going to get some knowledge out of it. We'll try to get some knowledge from those data. Okay, so we'll start from NumPy and we'll move on to scikit-learn step by step. Okay, now obviously today we are going to talk about NumPy and nothing else. And NumPy is nothing but it's called numerical Python. Okay, it's short for numerical Python. Num comes from numerical and Py comes from Python, and it's a Python library used for working with arrays. Okay, working with arrays. And it also has functions for working in the domain of different types of functions are available to work in things like linear algebra, Fourier transform, and matrices. These concepts might be a little bit harder for you to understand, but it's fine. Okay, for now, just understand this, that we get some data, we put them linearly using some comma values like a list, and we're going to call, in case of NumPy, we're not going to call them as list, we are going to call them as array. Okay, we are not going to call them as Python list or something, or simply list, we are going to call them array. The representation remains the same. It obviously looks like a list. Okay, it obviously looks like a list. List means there are some values and those values are inside square bracket and they are comma separated. There is a comma in between two of the two values. Okay, so simply speaking, NumPy is a library which is used to work with arrays. Arrays are nothing but a sophisticated list. You can think like it is a sophisticated list. And NumPy was created in 2005 by Travis Oliphant. And if you go through this website, that is numpy.org, I'll just type it in chat. That is numpy.org. You can see all the libraries, all the functions and everything available in this website. Okay, or I have just given the name of the website in the slide, in the below portion of the slide. You can click on it and you can go through it. Okay, So talking about NumPy, we already, if you see this, sorry, if you consider this, we already had a list, right? We already had a list to work with. However, NumPy is now used more. But why? Why we use NumPy to work with arrays, work with this kind of numerical data? Because in Python, lists are the de facto, that is the default way of dealing with the set of values. Okay, that is the default way of dealing with the set of values. However, they are very slow to process. Lists are good, but they are slow. Slow in the sense, if you have 10 elements in your list, that is fine. Python will process it very smoothly. If you have 10,000 elements in your list, then that can be a very big issue, because the more values that you get in your list, the more amount of time Python will require to execute. That is the idea here. Okay, so we have list that serves the purpose of an array, that is like putting together the values and using them all together, and all these things, doing some operations on them like slicing or finding out some in value or some indexes. All these things you can do it using list also. However, they're extremely slow. They're extremely slow. Why? Because they cannot process very faster because of the memory allocation and there are and other things. Okay, so NumPy actually aims to provide an array object that is up to 50 times faster than the traditional Python list. So you get a list, you can get a traditional Python list like this, normal list, and you can execute the list, and the time that is required to execute that particular list can easily be minimized using NumPy. If you convert that same list to a NumPy array, which is available, by the way, you can easily convert the list to a NumPy array. And when you convert the list to a NumPy array, it becomes faster. It becomes faster to execute. So that is why when it comes to the areas of artificial intelligence like machine learning and deep learning and etc., we tend to prefer using NumPy arrays than traditional Python lists, because in real world problem, the data can be very large. Okay, in real world problem, the data can be very large, and we need a NumPy, a structure like NumPy. We need a library like NumPy to execute them in a fresher, in a better way, like in faster way. Okay, so that is why we use NumPy. Now, sorry, there is an error here. Let me just write this one I wrote, and I should have put L. I put N. I don't know why. So installing NumPy is very easy. You can just click on pip install NumPy. You can just write in your command prompt, you can write pip install NumPy and NumPy will be installed. If you are using Anaconda, then you can go to the Anaconda command prompt. That means if you want to use NumPy for your Jupyter notebook, then you can go to Anaconda command prompt and you can write conda install NumPy. As simple as that, and your NumPy will be installed. It doesn't take much time. If you have a good 4G connection, then it will take 4G or broadband connection, it will take like 4 or 5 seconds to install. Now, importing NumPy, this is something very interesting, because if you want to import NumPy, hello, can you hear me? Am I audible to you? Hello, am I audible to you? Hello.
Yes, you're audible.
Okay, sure, thank you. So when it comes to importing NumPy, you can use different types of notations. Like you can just write import NumPy. You can just write from NumPy import all. This asterisk means all, or you can just write the specific module that you want to import. But the most common and most used way of importing NumPy is import NumPy as NP. Okay. I don't know why this is the standard way, but this is not exactly the standard way, but it is not the most used way. Okay. So you can just write import NumPy as NP and you can go on. And when you import NumPy as NP, by default, when you want to access the functions of that NumPy, yes, Siddharth?
I was wondering if we import NumPy as NP, or like import NumPy in particular, everything which is in NumPy will come. Then
Yeah,
what?
of course.
Uh, then what does from NumPy import all mean?
See, the programmers have their own ways of importing. Okay, so if you want to import NumPy as NP, that is good. Some other people might want to like use like this, from NumPy import all. That is also fine. I'm just showing you the acceptable ways which you can use to import. Okay, and the most used way, I have made it bold here, bold and italics here. That is import NumPy as NP. Most of the cases you will see this one only, the last one only, but that doesn't mean that from NumPy import all is wrong or it is useless, because some programmer might want to use it. Okay, did you understand what I said?
Yeah, so it does the same function, but the way of writing is different.
Yeah, exactly. It depends on the choice how you want to import it. You might want to import it as import NumPy as NP. Some other might want to import it as
Your
import
voice is
NumPy.
cracking.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. Okay, so it's up to you, whatever, which one you choose to do. But if you import NumPy as NP, then instead of hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you give me the host permission, whoever the host is? I got disconnected for some reason. This is very frustrating. Again, resume the. Sure. Now, talking about importing NumPy, I told you that there are different ways of importing NumPy. It's up to you which one you choose. I prefer to use import NumPy as NP. All right. Now, from this point onward, things get a little bit technical. Okay, so if you get any questions, quickly raise your hand and ask me the question. I will try to help you understand as much as I can. But if you don't, then don't get upset. Just ask me the question and move on. All right. So the central feature of NumPy is the array object class. Now, what exactly is an array? Arrays are similar to lists in Python, except one difference, that every element must be of same type. Okay, and typically we prefer that we use numeric types like float or int. That doesn't mean that you cannot use some other type of functions and such to or some other type of data types you can use in NumPy. You can use it all the types of data type in NumPy, but in since NumPy is basically was meant for numerical Python, so numeric types like float or integer are preferred over other data types in case of NumPy. And arrays make operation with large amount of numeric data very fast, and generally they are much more efficient than list because of two reasons. One is they take inputs and they put it in contiguous memory, like continuously they can put the values in the inside the memory. In case of list, they put the values wherever the memory is empty in computer, but in case of NumPy arrays, they put continuously, so accessing becomes very fast. Okay, so that can be a little bit harder for you to understand. Let me help you out here. Let me just draw something. So if you want to check in in memory, this is what an array will look like. This is what an array will look like. These are some of the memory locations. These are some of the memory locations, LOC locations, and this is an array. Okay, this is simply an array, ARR, and inside here there will be some values like 1, 2, 3, 4, and etc, etc. Okay, so each of the element will obviously have some index. Index might start from 0, 1, 2, and so on. And if you check in a list, if you want to check in a list, in list, the abstract view also look like the same, like an array. But in case of computer memory, it might get saved like this. In this case, in the computer memory, the arrays are stored in continuous memory allocation. In case of list, it might become look like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this. Okay, so this is the difference. This is why arrays are faster, because here if you see, to move from 1 to 2, it has to go through all these things. It has to check all these things, and then only it can go to 2. Then from 2 to 3 here, then 3 to 4 here, and again it has to check one more, 2 more boxes, and then only it can get to 5. But in this case, in case of NumPy array, it can directly go through one by one, and like this. So this is the contiguous memory allocation, and this is what makes NumPy arrays faster than the other arrays. Okay, so this is the idea here. I hope you understood. And if you have any questions in this regard, then you can ask. And by the way, arrays are very simple. They're as similar as the list, but there is one thing that makes arrays different. That is, they have the array. Every element of an array has to be of same data type. Okay, the data type of every element of the array has to be same, like numeric types like float or int. To declare an array from a list, you can use this function. This function that you can use is a equals to np.array. The function name is np.array, and it takes 2 parameters, 2 arguments. The arguments are what? First one is the list that needs to be converted into array, and the second one is the type. What kind of data type that you want with that array? If you want to have integer data type, then you have to write int. If you want to have floating point data type, then you have to write float. And since they have written float, that is why the array is coming like this. It has been written as array. It's an array, obviously, and the values are coming like this: 1 point, 4 point, 5 point, 8 point. There are no zeros or anything, but you have to understand, because of this decimal points, all these arrays are being represented as floating point num values. Okay, and if you write type of the array, you can see that they are giving here as the type is numpy.nd array. ND stands for n dimensional array. Okay, so what are the dimensions? We'll talk in the next 2 or 3 slides. But for now, understand this: if you want to create an array, the type of the array that you'll get is n dimensional array. Obviously, the type of the array that you'll get is n dimensional array, and the function name is the array, and where the function lies in np. So let me just demonstrate that using this. I'll just reconnect. I'm using Google Colab, by the way. All right, if you can see, I'm opening my browser and I'm using Google Colab. You guys can use Jupyter Notebook if you want, IDLE if you want, but I'm using Google Colab so for my convenience. All right, so I'll import NumPy as np, obviously, and I'm executing that. I'll check whether the NumPy is available. Yeah, it is available. Now what I'm going to do, a is equal to np.array. I'll give the name of the array first, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I will write the data type of the array. If you see a, then you'll be able to see this one, array 1, 2, 3, 4. So what is the function here? np.array. What is the first argument? The first argument is the list that you want to convert to an array, and then the second argument is the data type, whatever the data type there is. And if you check the type of the array, type of A, you'll find that the type of array is an numpy dot nd array, like they mentioned here, numpy dot n dimensional array. Okay, so this is about array objects. Now everything that we try to do, whatever we try to do in numpy, will have to be converted to an array first. First, it has to be converted into numpy dot nd array. That data type has to be like that, and then only you can move forward with working with numpy, because numpy considers array as their default objects, and it works with that only. Okay, with the arrays, and it performs best with the arrays, preferably with integer or floating point arrays. Now these are some of the operations are on array like this. Array elements you can access like we have access in list, and we can access manipulated some array elements like however we can manage, however we can manipulate like in list, and slicing can also be done like list. Okay, so accessing, slicing, and manipulation can be done as similar as list, and you can access them very easily. Arrays can be multi-dimensional. Now here comes the idea of dimensional. Okay, dimension. So I'm hoping that you guys know some stuff about Cartesian plane or Cartesian coordinates. If you don't, I'll just try to give you a picture, a brief idea. Okay. So what dimension actually means is the way that you see the object. Okay, the way that you see the object, or the perspective that which you use to perceive an object, you can consider them as a dimension. In simple words, it might be wrong, but I think of the definition in that way. Now if you consider any point in this system, suppose in this computer, this is a random point. Okay, this is my laptop, and in this laptop this is a random point, this point. Okay, now if you consider these two lines, these two perpendicular lines, you can consider them as a two-dimensional plane. Okay, you can consider them as a two-dimensional plane, and the position of this particular point can be represented using two coordinate values. This position of the 2 point can be represented as two coordinate values. Similarly, like if your own position can be represented wherever you are, your own position can be represented using your latitude and your longitude, right? You can use latitude and longitude to represent your position. Similarly, the position of the point can also be represented in using two values. Okay, though since we can represent this point using two values, we call them two dimensions. The first dimension is this one, how far it is from this starting point, how far it is in this way, and how far it is from this way. So from this point, suppose it is far by 5, and from this point it is also suppose far by 6. So the position of the point is 5, 6. Now if you consider this illustration, I think you will understand that every object in this universe can be located using this kind of systems. Okay, and dimensions actually help you to represent your systems. Okay, dimensions actually help you to represent your systems, and dimensions are nothing but numerical values. They are usually we find them as numerical values. They of course they have some name. For example, this one is the axis. This axis is called x-axis, and this axis is called y-axis. However, the values of x and y shows where the point is, and those x and y have obviously we'll have some kind of values. So similarly, in case of NumPy, we can have some axis of the values. Okay, for the set of values, we can have some kind of axis, and those axes will be considered as the dimensions. Okay, if you have only one axis, or if you have only one list that can represent the values, then it's only one dimensional. If you need two lists to represent the same value, that will become two dimensional. If you want three lists to have three dimension, three value to represent one value, then you will have three dimensional. And similarly, if you need n number of values to represent the list, represent an object, then you require n dimensional values. Okay, so that is why we get NumPy arrays in ND array, not only array, but the type of the values that we get is ND array, n dimensional array itself. And unlike list, different axes are accessed through commas inside bracket notation, and this is an example of two-dimensional array. Having two-dimensional array means you only need these two values to represent a certain point in the whole system, Okay, so why I'm putting dimensional into this Cartesian coordinate? This is called Cartesian coordinate, by the way. Why I'm putting the much stress in this Cartesian coordinate? Because when it comes to artificial intelligence, if you suppose you get an image, all right, when you get an image, you can represent those the image using a two-dimensional array. Okay, you can represent an image using a two-dimensional array. If it is three-dimensional, then the image, if the image is 3D, then you will require three-dimensional array. But you can use a two-dimensional arrays that contains some rows and columns to represent the image, and every value, whether it is 0 or 1 or any value, can show what kind of picture is present in that particular point. And NumPy actually uses that concept. That we can represent an image using numbers to carry out lots of tasks. It helps to understand that the computer that you can consider them as a two-dimensional or any dimensional of values, and you can carry out some work. Array slicing works with multiple dimensions in the same way as usual, applying its slice specification as a filter to a specified dimension. So if you want the dimension, then you can just put comma and you can access the particular element. Okay, for example, let me just take this one as an example. Yes, Siddharth, please.
I didn't understand why we call it a two-dimensional array. I understood that we need 2 points to represent, two coordinates to represent a point. But
Yeah.
why, like, if we have an array of 3 lines, I'm talking about vertically, then also we call it a 2D array. Why is that?
Sorry?
If we have an array of like 3 vertical lines, then also it is referred to as a 2D array. Why is that?
There are three values. That is what you are saying.
No, like for example, in a equal to np.array. Can you go to the code?
Just one sec. Yeah, sure. I can go to the code. Yeah.
Yeah. So in where you have written a equal to np.array, it's printed as 1 and then 2, 3 in the next line 4, 5, 6.
Yeah.
In the array. So if we add one more 7, 8, 9 there, then also it will be called as a 2D array.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because if you consider this, this dimension of the array is determined by the values that you are putting, right? So inside this square bracket notation, if you put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then it will be called as a two-dimensional array. Okay, and as much as value that you put, it will consider only the 2 dimensions only. It will only consider the 2 dimensions. Let me show you the example, then you will understand better, I guess. Okay, I'm just putting it here. Sorry. So you are saying that if you put here 7, 8, 9, then also it will be a two-dimensional array. Is it right?
No, like after 1, 2, 3, and then in the next line 4, 5, 6. Then in the next, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Yeah,
This is what you're
it has, it has 3 lists. Then why is it a two-dimensional array?
just hold on. Just a second, I guess I have made a mistake. Let me just check. Okay, my internet is becoming slow.
You have an extra comma before 4.
Okay, thank you.
Before 4, you have an extra comma.
Yeah, I can see that. Thank you. Just one sec. Let me just check. Okay. So you are asking that why is it called a two-dimensional array, right? That is what you are asking, Siddharth?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So here, if you represent these points, if you see this like a matrix, this one will be what? This one will be columns, right? Hello, Siddharth?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you consider this this array like this, I'll just write in a simplified way. This looks like this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Am I right? Hello? Yeah. Okay. So what are these called? These are called as rows. Okay. These are called as rows. And this long, if you see them as a long way, these are called as columns. So these are called as rows and these are called as columns. All right. So you can represent any value from here using row and column, right? You can represent any value from here using row and column. Just a second, please. Okay. That means if you consider this one as row 1, this one as row 2, and this one as row 3, and if you consider this row column 1, column 2, and column 3, then this value 5 will be located where? In row 2 and column 2. So you actually need 2 values to represent one element from this particular matrix. Similarly, if you consider this array also, you only need 2 values to represent this particular matrix. Okay. For example, if I write like this A 0, 0, I guess you will get the result as the first element. Only 1. Okay. So that is why this is, even if you are giving 3 values, 3 list, you are getting two-dimensional array. Is it clear to you now? Or do I need to go through it one more time?
No, I got it. Like, we are only talking about 2D arrays, or will we talk about one or more?
Most of the time, most of the time, for the sake of simplicity, we are going to talk about 1D array in right now. If requires, then we'll move on to 2D array. But did you understand what did
Now
I
we're
clear
talking
your doubt?
about. Yeah, I understood that.
Okay, great. So I hope others have also understood what I'm trying to say here, because this is very important for you to understand. Okay, because if you see it in this way, in this horizontal way, you will see some values, and if you see vertically, then you will also see some values, and you can use that horizontal way and the vertical way together to represent one value. Okay, so the index of this particular value 1 point is 0, 0, because it is in the row 0 and it is also in the column 0. So row value is 0, column value is 0, the value is coming like the first one. Okay, if you want to access this one, then it will be row will be 1, column will be 2. 1, 2 if you write, then you will get this one 6 point. So anyways, this is about multidimensional, and slicing can also be done using the in two-dimensional arrays also, or multi-dimensional arrays, you can use slicing, but the more dimension that you add, you have to be specific. You have to mention all the values for all the dimensions. For example, in this one, in this example, in this particular example, you can see that 1 comma this column, right? This column is given here, and this 1 comma column actually means the slicing has been done in the first row. This one is 0, this one is 1. So in the second row, and the column is not being considered. So that is why the results are coming in the second row only, 4, 5, 6. This column has been given because we are not slicing in the column way. Okay, if you consider the second column and the no rows are considered, then you will get this one, 3, 6. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 6. And similarly, if you consider slicing in both rows and columns, you can get like this. If you want this one, 5, 6, then you can get -1 because we are coming from behind row. This one is a -1 index row, and -2, that is this one. Okay, so this can be a little bit hard for you to understand, but I hope you will understand it better. Let me just draw this or do something with it, then you'll understand it better. Slicing can be a little bit tricky to understand, that I get it. So we have an array of values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, now if you want to consider this part, this element, then you can use what? Row is 0, and this one is first row. Now this one is column 0, column 1, and column 2. Now you can consider this way. If you want to slice in row 0 and column 1, then you can use like this name of the array, and then put the 0th row or whatever the row is like this, comma, and column you are considering from 1. So if you write like this is 0 by the way, and this is 1. Okay, so in 0th row from first column you want to slice. That means this 2 and 3 will be sliced out, and it will be displayed as the output for this slice. Okay, so if you face any problem with it, consider like this. You first need to understand the concept of rows and columns. Okay, if you see it horizontally, then you will get that there are 2 lines that you can see horizontally, and 2 lines of values are there. And if you see it vertically, then you can see that there are 3 columns of value. There are 3 lines of value vertically if you consider. And what I want you to do is you name them. If you want to name them, then you name them. Like this is row 0, this is row 1. Like I named them here. And then you can see it will become easier for you to do, because I'm specifying the row. This one will be specified for the row, and this one will be specified for the column. Okay, this one will be specified for the column. And you can see that if you consider rows and columns, you can easily slice from the point that you want to slice up to the point that you want to slice. If there are more values, like here, suppose there are 3, this is the 4th column, and it contains a 7 and 8, and you can easily slice it by writing up to 1 to 2. That means if you want only 2, 3, then you will get like this. From 0th row you are slicing, and from up to which point? From first column and second. First and second you are slicing. So this is the basic idea here. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. You can try it in your program also. I strongly suggest that you try it in your program. And what I'm trying to say here is that this can be very tricky to understand. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here is that if you can break your array into rows and columns, and if you can name them, the slicing will become very easier. Okay, so try to understand it. If you can break them into individual rows and columns, and if you can consider those, if you can name those rows and columns like row 0, row 1, row 2, like that, then it will become very easy for you to work on. Okay, so these are some of the basic operations right here. You can see this is the diagram. I think you will understand it better here. So this is the row. Okay, in this first array, this is the row and these are the columns. Okay, so in the first array, it's a one-dimensional array because it has only one row and 3 columns. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 2, and 7 are the values that are inside in these columns. And in the second one, it has 3 rows and 3 columns. That's all you need. You need 3 rows and 3 columns, and you are good to go. So this is called two-dimensional array because you are using rows and columns. Okay, so you can represent the data in either one-dimensional array or two-dimensional array. The more dimension you can add, the more precise the value becomes, because you can use lots of different notations to add the values. However, for the physical world, going beyond 3 dimension is very hard. Okay, going beyond 3-dimensional is very hard, but for the sake of simplicity, we'll consider 1-dimensional or most to most 2-dimensional. Okay, so every item in an n-dimensional array takes the same size of the block in the memory, and each element is, and the array is an object of data type object, which is called as D type. Okay, so this can be a little bit tricky. The type of the value, the type of the element that is inside the n-dimensional array in NumPy are called D type. Okay, they are called as D type, and this is just a sophisticated way to name them or nothing else. So any confusions? You should have lots of confusions, but feel free to ask. Any confusions? Yeah, sure, go for it.
As you said, a 2D array has a row and a column. But in the 1D array also we had a row and a column.
Why 1D array
then
2D array?
Yeah.
That's your question, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. See, just a second. In NumPy, if you go for the programming, sorry, I opened the programming part by mistake, but just a second. Okay, in NumPy, if you go for the programming, it will not consider 1D array or 2D array or anything. It will consider them as ND array objects. Okay, n-dimensional array where n can be 1 or 2 and 3. Okay, if you see this, you are having only one row. That means you are linearly entering the value. If you consider, if I draw it in one node, the values will look like this. I am only considering this axis only. Okay, this x-axis is only considered and the points are in the x-axis. Okay, but in case of two-dimensional array, we are having two values because here the number of row is 1, therefore we have only one row value. And if you consider the two-dimensional array, we are having different values of row, that means different values of x, as well as different values of y, that means different values of columns. And according to those rows and columns, we are having some results, right? This is the value from the row and this is the value from the column, and this is the point. But in this case, we are not considering any vertical axis. We are not considering any other ways. So that is why this one is 1-dimensional, this one is 2-dimensional. And if you want, I can draw it 3-dimensional for you also. This is called 3-dimensional because we are considering x, we are considering y, as well as we are considering z. Three-dimensional x and 3-dimensional axis are this, and one object will be represented from this point, the length, the distance from here, the distance from here, as well as the distance from here also. So this kind of values will have 3 values. So the representation actually matters, because even though we are having row column here, in this case, even though we are having row column here, but we are only having one row. Okay, we're only having one row. So this becomes irrelevant. The row becomes irrelevant because we'll always have only one row. We'll not be requiring any more rows than that. So that is why this is called one-dimensional array. This is not considered as like two-dimensional array because it has only one row. So whatever value that you add, it will be in that same row only. It will not change the value of row. So that is why it is one-dimensional. Is it clear to you? Or do I need to go through one more time? It's clear?
No, it's clear.
Sure. For others, is it clear for others as well? Anyone's having any questions? See, the understanding the concept of NumPy array is very important. Okay, because if you don't understand the NumPy array, then you will not understand what comes after this. So please. If you have any questions, please put forward.
No, sir.
Okay. Right. Great then. I'm moving forward. Okay. At any point, if you get any question, please feel free to ask. Okay. All right. So I don't know what I should have named them, but okay. These are some of the properties that NumPy array contains. Okay, you can use this NumPy array properties to see some different types of values and you can manipulate them as required. So first one is shape. The shape property of an array returns a tuple with a size of each array dimension. How many values that contain, how many rows are there and how many columns are there will be returned by the shape. So if I write here, this one is done, a dot shape, then I'll see the dimension. That is, there are 3 rows and 3 columns in this array, right? In this array, you can see that there are 3 rows and 3 columns, isn't it? So here 1 2 3 and 1 2 3. So 3 rows and 3 columns, therefore the shape is 3 3, row and column. That is the shape property. Next one is d type. D type property tells you what type of values are stored in the array, stored by the array. So a dot d type will give you what type of arrays are, what type of values are stored. Since it was float, therefore float 64 values are stored. This 64 means the number of bits that are required to store these values. Okay, not exactly required, used, because it can consider 64 bits of value inside it. Len is a function that returns the length of the first axis. So it will return the length of the first axis. That means the row. If you consider here, it will be the row. So a dot len, if I write, then I guess 3. Sorry. One second. Just a second, huh? Sorry. I'm sorry for that. I am coming back. All right. So I wrote it incorrectly. I need to write the name of the function here. Yeah. So here's the value. Because the first length of the first, this one is 3. So that is why it is showing 3. And moving on, In statement can be used to test whether the values are present in the array or not. For example, if I write 1 in A, it should return true or false. That is the result should be there. Yeah, it is true. If I write like 9 in A, then it should return false. Sorry. Oh, 9 is there. Sorry. 10 in A. I forgot that I'm yeah, false. So in can be used to check whether a value is inside this array or not. Okay, inside this array or not. As array is useful to converting Python sequence to n-dimensional array. This is the simplest way to convert a Python sequence to n-dimensional array. The other way is using the array function right here. This array function can convert a list into an array, and you can also use as array function to convert Python sequence into n-dimensional array. So if I write like this, as b equals to 3, 4, 5, 6, and if I write c equals to np dot as array b, then you will get index c here. Then you should be getting some values here. This b initially it was list, now it has been converted to array. Okay, it has been converted to array and it is stored in C. So C looks like this, array. Simple. Now these are some of the useful properties of a NumPy array, and we'll have more properties. Yes, Siddharth, please.
I didn't understand two functions, len and as array.
Okay. So len is similar to the length of the list. Okay. You remember using len function to find the length of the list?
Yeah.
Yeah. So similar to that. One sec. Okay. Similar to that, you can get this len function in array. This one also. What is it called? In NumPy also, to get the length of the first axis. Okay, the definition written here is len function returns the length of the first axis. So here, if you consider these are the axes of the array, then the rows will be the first axis that we'll consider, and then we'll consider column. So that is why these rows are considered, and the length of the first axis is 3 here. Rows are also 3, columns are also 3. That is why length is returning as 3. Okay, so length of the first axis is been returned.
What if the rows were 4 and the columns were 3?
It will come as 4. Rows are 4, therefore the length will be returned as 4. See here in this example, np.array 1 2 3 4 5 6, only 2 rows are here, right? So len is returning 2. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is the idea. Length of the first axis. Okay, so try to just this can be a little bit harder to map, but try to map it like the rows and the columns will be mapped to some axis in NumPy. Okay, and those axes will be used to carry out some work, and they might write it like axis to make it a little bit harder, little bit confusing, but since we are going with row and column, then I think it should do. But anyways, as array you also didn't understand, right? So it can convert Python sequence to an ND array. So this is a sequence, 1 2 3 is a sequence, it's a list. You can just use as array function, and you can write the name of the list inside this small bracket, and you will get the array. Okay, like here, as you can see, this is the Python list, this is a normal list. I change it to an NumPy array using the as array function, and all the functions that I am using in NumPy should come after this np dot, because I imported NumPy as np. At the beginning, I imported NumPy as np, so that is why I'm writing np dot array, because this array function is inside the NumPy, and I'm accessing the array function using this dot operator, np dot array. Okay, so is it clear now, Siddharth, or do I
And
need to?
isn't if we do np dot array, isn't that doing the same thing?
Okay, so you are asking, you are saying that, yeah, this one is the same thing. Yeah, it is same as this one, right? Here it works, it looks like
Yeah.
same, it might work like same, but here you are giving one more parameter. Can you see the parameter? Can you see this parameter?
Yeah.
So this is more thorough. This is more, sorry, this is more thorough. Okay, because you are not only giving the list, you are also commanding NumPy to what kind of data type that you need to convert. Okay, so that is why it is more thorough than as array. In as array, you are not mentioning any data type, so it is converting it to, it was integer here, it will be converted to integer as well.
But if we remove the float there, that wouldn't affect the code.
Actually, in if you remove the float, you can just check it out. Simple. Yeah, it will not affect, but by default it will take the data type that is in the list. Did you understand?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. You don't see a point of writing the data type?
No, if you need the data type, there is a point,
Yes,
but
yes.
if you don't need it.
Yes, exactly. And what happens is that, actually, I'll tell you why we actually mentioned this data type. Most of the time we get for data in decimal point. Okay. Sometime some data comes in integer, and the integer and the decimal point gets mixed up. So if you use this particular, if you explicitly say, if you explicitly tell the computer to change the data type to float, it will be converted to float only. All the data will be converted to float only. And NumPy is useful in terms of AI to do some pre-processing work, not only to get some results and everything, but most importantly, we use it for some pre-processing works. Okay, so in pre-processing data, all the data that comes are not in a clean way. Okay, they comes in there lots of garbage values are involved, lots of unimportant values are involved. So values do not come in same way, same data type, and all these things happen. So as much as we mention this particular, data types and everything, it becomes easier for us to work on that particular data. So that is the idea of using this. Okay, is it clear to you? I'm not asking to Siddharth, or to all of you.
Yeah.
See, I'm trying to
Yes.
from now on, I'm trying to associate the things with AI as much as I can. Okay, why we use it, how we use it, I'm trying to tell you. I hope you'll understand it, and if you don't, let me know. So this is some useful stuff, part 2. These are another some functions that you can use like this. You can reshape using a tuple that specify new dimensions. Now see here, one thing that you should notice is the reshaping must be done using a tuple. That tuple will have new dimensions. Okay, the tuple will have new dimensions, and those dimensions will create a new array, and the original array will not be modified. The original array will remain the same, but a new array will be created. For example, here in this one, you can see I have put a this one arrow mark for you. They're creating an NumPy array using the range function from up to 10. So there are 10 elements from 0 to 9, and they've reshaped the array using 5,2. So you can see that 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 are also there. I have cropped the image, I guess, for the next image, but we are getting 5 rows and 2 columns. So if I want to reshape, suppose I'm not taking all these things, instead of that I'm taking this one, comma 7, 8, 9, 10, say. So if I write type of C, let me see what is the type here. It is obviously ND array. So I'm going to reshape C dot reshape. And inside these braces, again, we'll need two braces. Why? Because inside this parenthesis, we'll need two parentheses because I'm going to use tuple. This tuple will represent what kind of dimension that I am asking for. Not dimension, what kind of values that I'm asking for. So I want 5 rows and 2 columns. Let's see what happens. Okay, sorry. Okay, there are side. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I need 2 more values. Okay, see here. Yeah, apologies. I should have written like this. See, this one actually affirms this point that it doesn't modify the original array. Instead, it creates a new array. So since I did not allocate anything here, so it came as the original array as it was. Now here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows and 1, 2 columns. So 5 rows and 2 columns, the data has been reshaped. So this is what reshape does. And reshape actually is a very useful function because we can use this function to create an array in our own as per our own requirement. As we need the array should look like, and we can use the reshape function and we can reshape the data itself easily. So first axis have 5 elements and the second axis have 2 elements. The second one is copy. So copy function can be used to create a new separate copy of an array in the memory if required. Because if you are dealing with the data, you might want to save a copy of the data for later use in case you mess up with the original one. So you can use the copy function and you can copy the data to a different separate data and you can get it. And if you want to convert the array to a list, then you can use the toList function. You can use the toList function to convert the particular array to a list, to a Python list. So toList function that is also there, you can use it. Next is next tree is also a little bit tricky. First one is transpose. So this one will be very tricky to have. So up to this point, is it clear to all of you? Any questions? Anything that you want to ask? Feel free to put forward questions. Nothing? Great. Okay. So see here. Suppose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So if I transpose this, transposing it will create something like this. The rows will become columns and the columns will become rows. That means 1, 2, 3. The columns will become rows and the rows will become columns. So this is what transpose is. Okay. This is what transpose does. It changes the rows into columns and the columns into rows. So here these were the rows. 1, 2, 3 was the value of the first row, so it became the first column. 4, 5, 6 was the value of the second row, so it became second column. And by default, this 1, 4 column became a row. So you can do this using this transpose. Okay, you can do this using this transpose, and using the transpose you can easily transpose the values from row to column. See here 0, 1, 2 became rows, and this one 6, yeah, this row became column and this column became row. So this is what transpose does. Flatten can easily flat multidimensional arrays into one dimension. How? By adding the next value of the next the next row or next column continuously. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 was the two-dimensional array. Using the flatten, it became flat. That means it became one-dimensional array only. So if you want to convert from two-dimensional array to one-dimensional array, you can use the flatten function. If you want to convert the rows into columns and columns into rows, then you can use the transpose function. So these are some of the functions that are available in NumPy. The maths inside is a little bit interesting to do, but it's long. So NumPy actually helps us to minimize that math. Okay, it helps us to minimize that math. By using this function, you can easily convert the rows into columns and such. Next is concatenate. Concatenate is a little bit interesting because in concatenate, you can combine the values. You can combine the values, and what you need to do is you need to write that you want to concatenate, you want to combine the values in a tuple. You have to combine, if you have to write the names of the NumPy arrays inside a tuple, inside that concatenate function, then only it will concatenate. It will do nothing. What it will do, it will paste one array after another. It will simply paste one array after another. However, if you want to specify the array axis, if you want to specify the axis of the array, then you have to write axis 0 or axis 1, because axis 0 will means you are concatenating like in a row, and axis 1 will mean you are concatenating in a column. This only is applicable in terms of multi-dimensional array. In case of two-dimensional array, you need to mention the axis, and in case of one-dimensional array, you don't need to mention the axis. However, mentioning the axis is helpful because you can tell NumPy how you want to see the output, how you want to get the output from it, and you can do that using the axis parameter. So concatenate actually takes two parameters. One is the tuple that contains the names of the arrays, and the second parameter is the axis parameter. Okay, so these are the three functions: transpose, flatten, and concatenate, that you can use to do some matrix type work. But yeah, basic things that you need to know is how you can create an NumPy array, how you can do some work with the NumPy arrays like slicing and all. And after that, you can move on to this a little bit advanced things like transpose, flatten, concatenate, or copy or reshaping, all these things. Okay, the requirement will be decided by your problem only. The requirement will be decided by your problem only, and you can do it very easily using all these functions. And if you want to go for traditional coding, and if you want to manually write the code for it, it will take a lot of time, and lots of lines of code will be required for this. So yeah, Siddharth, please.
When you have done axis 0, then like everything has come one after another. But what happened in axis 1?
Same.
Axis equal to 1.
Same here. I didn't understand your question.
Actually, I didn't understand the last function.
Okay, so here, if an array has more than one dimension, it is possible to specify the axis along which the multiple arrays are concatenated. Did you understand that point?
No.
Yeah, let me go through it one more time. Let me understand. Okay. See here, if you want to concatenate these two arrays, suppose this is one array and this is another array. Okay, so if you want to concatenate this array with, suppose, say another array that there is, what you can do is you can either concatenate by axis, like you can write like 1 4 2, 5, 3, 6 like this, right? Or you can concatenate like this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in one single array. Axis 0 will do just like this 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, 6 like this. That means in this way, isn't it? Here, like this. And axis 1 will concatenate in a row in this way, like this, column by column. Here it is coming like this, and here it is coming like this. So this is what yeah.
What exactly do you mean by the word concatenate?
Joining. We are joining 2 or 3 NumPy arrays together, nothing else.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all. So okay, I hope you understood. That picture got really messy though. Let me just sort it out. Okay, anyways, up to this point, is there any confusion? Anything that you want to ask anyone?
No, sir.
Okay. I thought that you guys will have some confusions to this point. Okay, anyways, if you don't, then it's good. I hope you understand, you are getting it, okay, because it's very important. Next is other ways to create array. How many other ways are there that you can use to create array? First one is arrange. Arrange is a function that you can, that exactly the similar as an this one, range, but in range you get a range of values. In arrange you can get an array of values. Okay, same thing. The difference is that you can get some values in an array. In range you get a sequence of values. You get a series of values. In arrange you get an array of values. That is the first one. Second one is, you can, if you don't have any values to work on, then you can use np.zeros. That way you will get some 7, the number of zeros that you put here. And np.ones is also there. You can create an array with 1 that contains only 1, nothing else, only 1. Similarly, you can get an identity array also. And let me show you what identity array is. Identity matrix is 1. For the diagonal elements are 1. That is what identity matrix is. 0, 0, and 1. This is the identity matrix because the first element in the first row is 1. The second element in the second row is 1. The third element in the third row is also 1. So this is what identity matrix looks like. And here in this one, let me just create an identity matrix for you. That way you will understand it better. F is equal to np dot let's see if it works or not. Here we go. This one. This is an identity matrix. Okay, this is called an identity matrix, or in this case, an identity array. The first value of the first row, second value of the second row, and the third value of the third row is 1. Rest is 0. So you can create an identity array like this also in NumPy. Okay, so 2D arrays. Okay, special arrays. 4. That means it will create 4 rows and 4 columns. Next one is okay, array mathematics. Now, if you want to do some standard mathematical operations, you can do it simply by using the operators that are available. Okay, NumPy has already defined how the operators will work, and standard mathematical operators are applied on element by element basis. That means in this example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 6 are the arrays, and if you do 1 plus a plus b, then 1 will be added with 5, 2 will be added with 2, and 3 will be added with 6. Element by element operation. Okay, element by element. The corresponding element of the first array will be added, subtracted, multiplied, or divided by the corresponding element of the secondary. Okay, that is how the array mathematics in NumPy works. The operators in NumPy works, to be precise. The condition is that the arrays should be same size during addition, subtraction, etc. The arrays should be of same size during the addition and subtraction. Okay. Next is mathematical functions. In addition to standard operators, NumPy offers large library of other mathematical functions like ABS for absolute values, sign to change the sign, SQRT for square root, log for logarithm, log10 for logarithm base 10, exponential exp for exponential, sine, cos, tan, arc sine, arc cos, arc tan, sine sine cos tan for the trigonometric functions. Arc sine, arc cos, arc tan is also for the same purpose. Sine h, cos h, tan h, these are the hyperbolic trigonometric functions, and all these functions are available. Okay, I'm not giving you any definitions here because first of all, I want to try and enjoy yourself, and secondly, these functions will take one more class for me. Okay, this function will take another 1.5 hours of class, so try to do it by yourself. Try to read it out. I have already sent you this PowerPoint presentation to sir, and I have also sent a accompanied book with this PowerPoint presentation. The definitions should be written there, and try to do it out. Okay, floor, ceiling, and rint gives the rounded values, nearest lower value for floor, upper value for ceiling, and rint rounded integer for the rounded value. And we have two mathematical constant. One is pi and e. Okay, the two mathematical constants are pi and e. Pi is the value that you already know, 3.1416, and e is called exponential constant. Some of you will get it in later classes, but exponential constants are also there, which you can use to get the result. Okay. Now, if you want to do some interaction, like if you want to multiply, if you want to do some multiplication, division, all these things inside the array, you can do it using this sum and prod. SUM sum will give you the sum of the values, and prod will give you the product of the values inside that particular array. For example, here sum, you can see 2 plus 4 plus 3 will give you 9, and 2 into 4 into 3 will give you product of the value. So this prod does what it does, it multiplies the value inside that particular NumPy array. These routines enable computation of statistical quantities in array dataset, like mean, variance, and standard deviations can also be calculated using this using NumPy. You get functions like mean, you get the function like variance, you get the function like standard deviation. Okay, these terms might be I'm not going through all these terms, all the definitions by myself, but yeah, these are some of the, I'm just trying to show you how many broad areas that NumPy covers. Okay, and you can also find minimum and maximum element values. What is the minimum value here? What is the maximum value here? You can find it using mean or max function. And argmin and argmax will give you what is the index of that particular value. Okay, what is the argmin will give you what is the index of the minimum value, and argmax will give you what is the index of the maximum value. So that is why argmin is coming as 1, because the value, the index of 2 is 0, 1 is 1, 9 is 2. So for argmin, the index is coming like 1. For argmax, the 9 index is coming like 2. So these are the ways that you can do, that you can interact with the array. You can also do some Boolean operations on the array. The Boolean operations like comparison operations are allowed in this case, and you can see whether the values are true or false. Again, element by element operation. It will consider the corresponding element from the first array and the corresponding element of the second array, and it will compare them. It will compare the first element with the first element of the second array, second element of the second array, the second element of the first array with the second element of the second array, and it will compare them. And if the result is true, then new array will be created that will contain results for each of the comparison. So for each of the comparison, you can see in this example, the results have been created and the data type have been created as bool. Bool means Boolean data type. That means either true or false. There are two more functions are also available, that is any and all operator. You can see any or all operator, these two are only valid for Boolean arrays. You can check whether any of the Boolean array contains true, or you can see whether all of the Boolean arrays contain true or not. If all of the Boolean array doesn't contain true value true, then it will show as false. And if any of the Boolean array contains a true value, then it will show as true. Otherwise, it will show false. So this is all about NumPy. There are lots of things to unpack here, I know, and I want you to go through it one more time if possible. But these are the basic concepts that you can carry with you to do some simple applications in AI. Okay, so basically AI problem comes with a lot of data and most of them are numerical in nature. So for an example like this, you can map a person's location to latitude and longitude, and which are basically two numbers, right? And if you can track the person's latitude and longitude, you can see the pattern where he is going, what are his favorite places that he goes frequently, and you can get a pattern from that, and you can make the computer understand, and then computer will be able to predict where he will go next, where he might go next, like that. I'm just giving you an idea. So you can use numerical values to show behavior, to show some patterns, right? So numerical values are best in terms of NumPy, because NumPy itself is designed for those numerical values only. So NumPy is very fast, it is very easy to implement, and it is very compact. You don't need to write long lines of code to implement all these things. And you get a lot of functions to make your life easier. You get a wide plethora of functions. I'm barely scratching the surface here. There are lots of functions inside NumPy itself that you can use. So remembering those functions are also easy. Instead of remembering 3.14159 all these values, you can just remember np.py and it becomes easier, right? You can just write np.py and you get the value of pi up to I think 16 or 17 of correct places. So this is where NumPy fits. NumPy is basically used to do some pre-processing task in pre-processing work in AI. The raw data is converted to in the format that you can use, and there are some other functions are also available which will help you to understand to work with AI properly. With that, I'd like to conclude today's lecture. Lots of things have happened here. Following a file name, directory name, or volume level syntax is incorrect. Okay, why? I think you need to go to that particular. I think you need to go to that particular directory to use pip.
How do that? I do that.
Like you can use cd command. You are using command prompt, right?
Yes. So
You can use change directory command.
Yes.
You can use change directory command to go to that Python directory and you can use it. Let me just put the NumPy PDF right here.
Okay.
You can download it from here also. Yeah, I'm putting the NumPy PDF here. You can download it from here also. And if you go to numpy.org, you will get a wide range of documentation which will solve every problem. Okay. All right. So I hope this has sparked your interest in NumPy, and I hope you guys are not afraid of it, because it's a very interesting thing to work on. There are lots of concepts involved actually. So if you are confused in any terms, then share with me, or else we can go for some programming in the later classes. So